Welcome to the Catholic Dadcast by Rich Pintang, where we break down all things dad from a Catholic perspective. Now more than ever, we need dads to step up their game. Gentlemen, buckle up and get ready for battle. Welcome, brothers and sisters, men's dads, and all my lovely followers. This is the Catholic Dadcast. I am Rich Pintang, your host and founder in the brisk and sunny Southern California area.
Brisk.
Very brisk. with a pretty fun yet valuable episode that I think can't come at any better of a point in time, given the new year and all the resolutions that are coming. But I have, for episode 9, I have my friend Dave Reddy here to share with us some insights on how we as men can live healthier and more fruitful lives by taking care of ourselves and being an example of true, nutritious, and true lives of living fit, ready to serve the Lord. Dave Reddy is a director of exercise science. He is an instructor, personal trainer, and owner of Reddy Health and Performance. Enjoys basketball like myself, enjoys coaching youth sports, which I love. Married of 15 years, 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, ages from 9 to 13. And he's here to start the new year with some advice on health and wellness. Welcome to the show, Dave Reddy.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you so much. We have to talk about what it means to be brisk out, though. I think it's 32 degrees right now here, and I think that's the high today. So
I realize, and here in California we have outdoor mass, and
nice.
even outdoor mass at 50 degrees for us is, I'm still got a sweater on. Still
Right.
But like, I don't know if I told you, but I'm originally from Chicago, so I'm supposed to be very familiar with what true cold weather is, and my family's still back in Chicago, but the 4 seasons just, it kills me. And I don't know if it's because I've chose to go bald or what, but my friends and family kind of said that I've kind of gotten soft because of how gentle the vitamin D comes readily for us out here.
Which is a nice health tip, because I do supplement with vitamin D during the winter. Because if you're in Chicago, if you're in the Midwest and the seasons are changing, that's something you can look into, whether you feel more comfortable talking to your doctor about that or just taking vitamin D. It's a big difference, because you lose that sun. It's, we could talk about placebo effects all day, but boy, when that sun goes away for 3 months, and in St. Louis, we still get a little sun here and there. It's probably, no, today's pretty overcast, but it does make a difference as far as how you feel. But this is a great time to get into this too, because if you can get any momentum going in January and February, then the sun starts coming back out. April and May, especially with COVID, if we start seeing good signs with that going into the spring, this is a great time to get some momentum going to feel good and get moving.
I hear you. And there you go, Dave. It's for me, like I said, I was doing a reflection on what I was most thankful for as far as what had gone on throughout the year, and I really had a good chance to really realize, like, how much I was grateful for. And I felt like there should have been a lot more emphasis on what am I doing in terms of myself, in terms of my immune system, my health, and I almost thought maybe this is a year where people will really prioritize that. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there's a lot of people that still are living much in fear and really haven't taken any true steps to improving on themselves. So, for us being able to talk about this is crucial, because I can guarantee you there are going to be tons of people that are, um, as you know, going to the year saying, this is what I want for myself. Um, this is how I'm going to do it. But I really think that what you're going to share today is going to be very practical in terms of what we can do on the nutrition side. 3 simple ways to improve our nutrition, and then number 2, 3 ways we can be much more fit and measure ourselves as we go along. So
Sure. Yeah.
um, I'm very appreciative that you're gonna jump into this. So how about it? How about it? What
Yeah.
comes to mind?
Well,
What really?
the first thing came to mind really with the weather. We're talking about the weather, and it was interesting listening to Father's homily yesterday morning, which was the first. We're filming this on January 2nd. And we talk a lot about COVID, and he just brought this up a lot. And I think we're talking about the weather and whether it's snowing outside or not, to really kind of, when you talk about your reflection, what you're thankful for, but to kind of reflect on what's going on outside right now, what does the weather look like, and what's going on internally, and how much this outside is affecting us. It's inevitable. We're humans. We're going to walk out into sunlight and feel a little better. And I can take vitamin D for that and things like that. But really is what is going on inside your body, physiologically, emotionally, mentally, whatever the case, that you're able to weather those storms out there. And we can talk a lot about that as far as what it means to be healthy. I think we just don't have a good operational definition of what health means. If we could just talk about, we throw this word around like we want to be healthy, we want to live a healthy lifestyle. But when we're dealing with COVID, if we covered all the ways to be healthy as much as all the ways to prevent getting COVID, just to build more, whether it's your immune system. I talked to a lot of people about their orthopedic durability, their resiliency. You see a lot of fall prevention programs out there for older people. And I tell a lot of my clients, falls are inevitable. There's ice on the ground. You're going to miss that last step on it. The difference is that if you are exercising and taking care of yourself, you can hop up the next day and your back might bother you. If you're not exercising and taking care of yourself, that's a broken hip. Right. That's something, so I think as far as just focusing on more of a proactive view of orthopedic, physiological durability and resiliency, there's a lot to be said for that. So yeah, when you emailed that, well, a couple of different things you talked about as far as just physical health overall, 3 ways to get healthy. And I'm the director of exercise science at a university, and all of our students, we're in the biological sciences department. They all need to do a research project, some sort of senior thesis project. And they'll come to me with some great idea and say, I want to study people like 2 different types of exercises to improve hamstring flexibility. And I'll ask them, okay, what does hamstring flexibility mean? Like what specifically do you mean by that? So we can then set up this program or set up this study. And they don't really know where to start. Is it how far you can bend over? Is it, can you touch your toes? Can you lay on your back and bring your legs straight up? Like, what does hamstring flexibility mean? And I think that's where we get caught up, especially at this stage when the new year's starting and we want to be healthy, we want to get fit. Like, what do these things mean? And so just to start with a good, I say operational definition, maybe that's me being in academics for too long, which I really haven't been in academics, especially, I've been full-time at a university for 3 years now, but I still see personal training clients. I still do my Catholic Fit program, things like that. But we define, and there's no better time to talk about this, not only the new year, but with COVID, is we define health as being sort of your independent and sustainable ability to heal. Like the word health equals healing. And so if you sprain your ankle tomorrow playing ball, is your ankle immediately healing up? Like the second you sprain your ankle, you're thinking, what am I doing to help that heal up? What am I doing so I can get back on the court in 10 days? The healthier you are, the better that ankle sprain is going to heal. If you get the flu, if you get COVID, how healthy is your body today that you can immediately begin healing, fighting that off, and then healing back to your current state anyway? And so then after we kind of have that definition, say, okay, that's where I want to be. I want to be in a healing state. And then what that means, physiologically, it can mean our heart's beating, right? Our blood pressure is 120/80. We kind of have these signs that we can kind of look at. That's a healthy person. But then we get into things like nutrition and physical health. So we can start with any of these things as far as, defining what it means to be healthy, and then what habits, what principles we can start with. That all makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say that, to your point, because of your background, being working with so many different demographics, from the youth to middle age, and even those that are um in their, let's say, 50s and 60s. It's There's a lot of different ways to look at that, and by defining the way you have with health, it's very true. How I mean, because what the where I'm seeing it is that the body to me is a gift from God that's very resilient. It has to be in a state in which we are able to function properly. All of our systems, between immune system, digestion, central nervous system, they all work in conjunction with each other. So it's as much as we break out different aspects of our health, and then that's not even talking about our mental and emotional health,
Sure.
but they all come into play with each other. If you feel like garbage and your body's in a terrible state, and inflammation, for example, then it's probably going to affect the way that you perform, your emotions, your hormones, and so on. So
Everything.
you're
Yeah,
you're
inflammation is a
right
tough
on it.
thing to. Yeah, I mean, inflammation is hard to wrap your head around. We think about it again. Your ankle sprained and it's swelling. Well, that's really not
Mhm.
inflammation. That's a different kind of swelling. But inflammation, that becomes systemic. That throws off just how you're viewing a situation, a conversation with your wife, to not feeling cues of fullness after you've already had 20 chicken wings, right? If you have inflammation in your brain is not going to get those hormones that say, okay, that's enough chicken wings. The game's about over. You could call it a day. And so, yeah, that alone, as far as what we're doing to reduce those things, but because we sort of sell health short, that if you're not sick or diseased or injured, you're apparently healthy, right? Like right now, if you and I don't have a headache, right, our stomach's not really bothering us, we don't have a temperature, we're healthy. And I think we kind of sell it short. That's the idea of wellness, that we're always in a state where we can be healthier than we are today, without becoming some, a health nut, or what we want to say, that are too obsessed with the idea. But we can always drink a little more water. We can always shut down our screens a little earlier at night and get some better sleep at night. Some of these health principles, we talk about 3 ways to be healthy. That's, I mean, those direct things you just cannot, again, sell short, or undervalue, is just simply, drinking more water, getting good sleep at night, and eating God-made food.
Yeah.
Um, and
Uh,
so, which there's different ways of that. But I talk to so many people, and again, it doesn't matter. You've mentioned I work with a lot of different demographics, and so I'm 46. If I'm playing basketball with my buddies and someone's hurting, I can ask, "Well, what'd you have for lunch today?" Of course, you can't get back on defense. Your spicy chicken sandwich, and your whatever 3 glasses of lemonade an hour ago is not helping you get up and down the court. So that makes sense in that, but I think to really embrace those things and kind of get back to, you know, why we want to feel good and why we want to run up and down the court. But so yeah, I don't want to get too all over the place in that. We want to focus on one idea or the other as far as building health. If that's a goal, if someone just says, I want to be healthier, I think that's the best way to define that. Like, I just want to be healthier in 2021. I want to be healthier during COVID. I want to be more durable. That's a good place to start as far as really embracing that idea that you're in a healing state all the time. If you have a headache, it's okay. Your body's working on it. It's going to be okay. And then the way you get there, to get to that healing state, is to drink more water first and foremost. I think hydration is just an enormous thing. We are just chronically dehydrated as a society. We're drinking a lot of coffee. If you're drinking coffee, if you drink a lot of coffee, you can count that as maybe 2/3. If you're aiming for, let's say, 8 to 10 cups of water a day, a cup of coffee can count as maybe half a cup, 2/3 of that cup. But just to drink pure water, the more clients I talk to, and that it's amazing how people aren't just drinking
yeah,
a bottle of water, 64 ounces of water, just drinking a bottle of water.
even starting with the hydration portion, because that's what I was also realizing, how crucial hydration is. I mean, for those of us that are very active, I mean, for you and I, we live very active lifestyles,
Sure.
which is really what I want to encourage the listeners to understand, that living an active lifestyle is very different than trying to work out 2 or 3 times a week. To me, working out 2 or 3 times a week is just getting by, and sometimes that's because I think that a lot of the dads might not prioritize their health in that way. But from the hydration side, uh, a simple test is to recognize that what color your pee is, right? It's very simple to see that remember, it's flushing out all the toxins and any waste that's not supposed to be there. But it also allows, organ functionality in terms of working at a better pace instead of having one or the other system um, or organ having to work harder because there's lack of water to be used in our cells and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And a lot of times that's probably why guys will overeat, specifically because they think they're hungry. When in reality, if you're chugging water and you go to the bathroom all the time, not only are you not, um, you're forced to get up from your desk, your desk job, or from your laptop or wherever you might be stationed. But number two, you're able to recognize that, when you're getting that much water, you're not as hungry as much, which means you're consuming less calories. I mean, and when I look at guys, I'm just thinking to myself, if you're 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, if you're carrying 25-pound dumbbells around with you, of course your body's going to suffer from that.
Sure. Yeah, and guys, especially as we get older, and it doesn't matter. I talk to all of my 40 and 50-year-old clients about my 70 and 80-year-old clients, right? Because that's where it's starting. Your lifestyles today. For my women, it's what sort of shoes they are wearing. COVID's been great for that because a lot less boots and heels. But anything we're doing now is going to affect us. And when we're 60, 70, 80, we still want to move well. And I see that with hydration a lot, especially men, because we're getting up and going to the bathroom all night. And that's annoying. On the one hand, we want to get good sleep, but on the other hand, we're getting up twice to go to the bathroom. And that happens more and more. And so I have a lot of gentlemen who just, they don't want to do that. They don't want to get up. It's annoying. And so it's drinking earlier in the day, just being consistent as far as your nutrition goes. If you can drink and just set a goal for 5 cups of water before noon, just to drink, I drink like 2 cups of water before I eat anything in the morning. Right. So I start with that. I always have a little lemon juice in the refrigerator. And so the first thing I do, I walk out the refrigerator, throw some lemon juice in some water. I might do some apple cider vinegar. We can get into that later if we want, but and just to drink that, right? So yeah, that's kind of my morning routine. It's like 2 to 3 cups of water, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and I'm not tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. I just do a little this, a little that. It's like a bartender. I'm just kind of good, just whatever, throw it in there. But that's how I start. But it's also sort of like understanding the definition of healing. I'm not just doing that because I read in Men's Journal it's a good thing to do. I do that specifically because I know that that's hydrating. That's setting my body up to then digest my food. It's going to, there's digestive enzymes in the lemon juice. It's going to help you digest your food so you feel good. So an hour after you eat, you're ready to rock and roll. You're ready to go for a walk. You're ready to sit at your desk. You're ready to take the kids to school, whatever your next step is. And then the apple cider vinegar, if that helps with the stomach acid, what's going on in your stomach, again, with your digestive system, other benefits there you can look into. But then I know, okay, now my body is set up to digest, my body is set up to eat. There's also good benefits with blood sugar, right? So we can get into, eating a high carb diet or why a low carb diet can be important, but it's going to help if you do throw some toast or a muffin into your breakfast. That apple cider vinegar will help that as well, as will the water and lemon juice. So that's the first thing I do. And that's the first thing I kind of have control of. You don't always have control over your happy hour at 4:00 in the afternoon or what's being made for dinner or what you're doing for lunch and that sort of thing. But breakfast, just to be consistent and have essentially the same thing for breakfast every morning. I know I can wake up, have my 2 cups of water, lemon juice, 2 to 3 eggs, 2 to 3 egg whites. I throw that in a pan. And then I get vegetables. I don't get enough vegetables. A lot of us don't. But I do. I think on New Year's Eve, I bought some pico de gallo, right? Is how you say that? Just little diced up onions and tomatoes and stuff. I throw that in a pan. And it's to think, gosh, and some people you may immediately be thinking, I'm not going to fix myself a big fancy omelet every morning, right? That takes forever. And I've literally seen the clock and it will say 6:15. And I am done eating that omelet or that meal, those couple eggs by 6:25. Heat a pan up, throw some Pam in there, throw some ghee in there, whatever I do to kind of, get some oil, get some butter, and then eat some eggs, throw that a couple veggies on there, and I can walk out the door. But I know as far as your nutrition goes, where to start. hydration is a big thing, but be consistent. If breakfast can be the one just consistent meal you can do, that's the way you start your day. Because I got my water in me, I got my consistent, healthy protein in me, I got some veggies in me, and I always throw like a handful of blueberries in with that. Then I know I'm just off to a good start. I have no idea what's going to happen at noon. If I don't have time to pack my lunch, or I don't have what I need here, or if I'm running out and about, or maybe you're in sales, Rich and I talked a little bit about that. If you're in sales and all of a sudden you're going to end up at a happy hour and everybody's having a beer, you don't have control over that necessarily. But if you can start your day, if you have control over that first hour or two of your day, that's the time to really start getting some momentum going when it comes to taking care of your health, taking care of your body. And we can't say this enough. As far as being a dad, if your kids see you do that, that's just clockwork, right? Like your kids, more is caught than taught. We can say that over and over again. If you want your kids to read the Bible, they should catch you reading the Bible sometimes, right? If you want your kids to eat healthy, they should catch you eating a good, consistent, healthy breakfast every single morning before you walk out the door. So that's kind of my morning routine. So whatever your thing is, if you want to figure out oatmeal, maybe you can throw in cinnamon into your oatmeal for blood sugar purposes. Maybe throw a little, protein powder, maybe some nuts in, something. We can't, for today, not to get too deep into one element of nutrition, but just to find your consistent thing. Be consistent for the next 2 weeks, and then see how you feel. See how you feel an hour after that meal. See how you feel 3 hours after that meal, and see how it's going after 2 weeks. And then decide, maybe I got to switch it up. Maybe this is working for me. But the consistency is so key, to do that same thing every morning, just to know that you're getting the right nutrition in. But also you kind of know, are you awake? Is your blood sugar good? Are you focused? Are you able to sit at your computer and work at 10 a.m.? Or is your mind all over the place and you're dozing off already at 10:30? That probably means you want to mix up your water and your breakfast, that first thing of the day. So
Yeah, I hear you. I was going to say that I'm with you in terms of hydrating as much as you can first thing in the morning. So my routine is not far different from yours. It's apple cider vinegar with water. I down that, and then it's lemon, splash of lemon, fresh from the backyard, fresh lemon juice in the water. I down that, and then if I have green tea after that, or coffee after that, that's kind of the morning portion. And obviously with the caffeine that comes along with it, that's what typically is. I would think that most commonly is used. But I think that if we were more aware of what we were intaking, in terms of the nutrition and the calories, and being aware and then creating a routine, you wouldn't have so much, you wouldn't be all over the board with
yeah.
with what we're consuming and how we're feeling. So I think the biggest thing I want the audience to understand is that you have to have the desire to learn a lot of these different things. And obviously everyone's body is different, but we want to get you to a point where, if you're 30 pounds overweight, let's get you, try to cut that in half over a month or 2 months by implementing some simple things that you do each day, because you can do these each day and sacrifice for a month or two, and really recognize how you feel much compared to day one, compared to, day 60. And
Yeah.
you can see it firsthand. And those are the biggest things, is just allowing yourself to prepare. Because like, even to your point, Dave, I don't think that most guys aren't gonna develop a routine where they know what they're gonna have that first thing in the morning. And do
Right.
they know how to
Yeah.
prepare something that's 10 minutes and you're in and out, and the protein and everything that you put in there is
Yeah.
a great amount of nutrients to hold you off until 11:30.
Ideally, you're in a good state when you know your next meal, and you kind of, if breakfast is your thing. I know my breakfast. Now tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, I'm getting the kids up to go to 9 a.m. mass. Well, my wife too. I say that because my wife works on weekends. She's a nurse. But we'll get up and go to 9 a.m. mass tomorrow. So I kind of think about whether I want to get them up, do breakfast afterwards. And Sunday morning, I might make waffles. I might make something then. But I'll still do my eggs. I'll still do my part of the breakfast, or I'll share, or I might scramble the eggs for them. But I think to really reframe, like we talk about what health means, right? That you're healing. And so tie that into nutrition then is, the two things to really reframe, or we could talk about habits and ideas and strategies like this, what we're talking about as far as how much water and how many eggs or egg whites or whatever, is that to really embrace the idea that you are what you eat, right? And then that your food is your fuel. And I think if you think, maybe both of those work, maybe one of those metaphors work. But when I go to a gas station and I'm stuck there because I have no food and I got 4 appointments, I'm going to a home client. I'm thinking, okay, what can I do here? I can maybe do some beef jerky. I can grab a bag of almonds, a bottle of water. I'm thinking, maybe those are just some quick things that I can do there. If I end up at McDonald's, I can get 3 sides of eggs and oatmeal, maybe a yogurt parfait. It doesn't mean I'm at McDonald's. That means immediately I'm getting a number 8, right? I'm getting a double, sausage biscuit. But when I'm standing in line at the gas station and I'm looking around thinking, wow, that's like, this guy's headed off to work. I can tell he's got some boots on. He's got a long day ahead of him. He is out in a field or he's in a basement. He's working his butt off doing something. And he's got a bag of Doritos and a bottle of Pepsi. And he just grabbed 2 donuts from the shelf over there, and I think, gosh, and so even at a gas station, even at McDonald's, even at, you end up at Walgreens or CVS, wherever you are, some sort of quick stop, you have some decent options as far as, I'll get turkey jerky or something like that, or get some bacon jerky.
You have good choice. You have good options if you choose to.
Right. Yeah. It's just kind of being aware of that. But because I'm thinking, I don't just think, I'm a healthy guy, I'm a fit guy, I'm a personal trainer, this is how I eat. I'm thinking, how do I want to feel for the next 3 hours? I want to be awake. If I go to a home client and I'm talking to my 7 to 8 year old client about everything, I want to be awake. I want to feel good in that moment. If I'm headed home and I know that I've missed dinner and it's already away in the fridge and I'm going to get home kind of late, I want to spend some time with my kids. I want to fuel my brain and my body to feel good for that next moment. And so to really kind of reframe the way you see your food. And then, so that's in the moment, like you're just fueling your body. You wouldn't stop at a gas station, just dump a bottle of chocolate syrup in your car and then drive off, right? Especially guys. I mean, a lot of guys are good at taking care of their car and taking care of some of their possessions and that. But when it comes to the body, not quite so much. But then on a longer term, you are what you eat. And there's always debate and discussion. A lot of people like to say our body is regenerated. Every 7 years, every 3 years, every 8 years. And the idea is that we are constantly regenerating our bones and our skin and that, right? We're shedding our skin, our hair is growing. That's a very fluid process going on in our body. And so if that metaphor works, that have your donuts, but think about that. Like that's what you're rebuilding your bones with. And that's what you're rebuilding your muscles with. Obviously not literally, and God gave us this amazing body to be able to assimilate those things and build strong bones. But at some point that will catch up with you, that those bones are not going to grow back quite as strong. And there's a time and a place. I love my pizza and wings and donuts. That's just like an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, if you're locked in and you're eating pretty well, like Rich and I are talking about, that 20%, your body's amazing. You can handle a few beers, you can handle some wings, you can handle a pizza, a few donuts with the kids, donut Sunday at church, right? Have whatever if you've as long as it's kind of within that 20% rule. Your body knows how to get rid of that, digest that, and excrete that. It's when that piles up and becomes 85, 90, 95%, you're not giving your body a chance to kind of get back to where
and
they want to be. So those two things, especially though, I think if we really embrace you are what you eat and that your food is your fuel, go home, open up your cabinet, open up your refrigerator, be like, okay, is this all fuel for me? Right. And even with the kids, I know the kids, we get a lot of things for the kids, Fig Newtons and granola bars. But my wife loves carbs, but she doesn't have to eat very much. She's very petite. She just eats a little bit and she's good. Right. If you put carbs in front of me, I'm tearing them up. Right. She can have 2 Girl Scout cookies or whatever, and she's good. Oreo, I have a sleeve of Oreos. I'm good. Right. So and so that's another story as far as communicating and what our household looks like. But
that portion of nutrition, Dave, I want to say that a lot of it is lifestyle and a lot of it is just being balanced. But because as far as most, especially the American diet, I feel like that they've because there's so many different fads and we don't know what to follow, you can find a balance of everything. And I think there's a reason why gluttony was considered one of the 7 deadly sins, because here in America, we live in very abundantly. We don't eat the same kind of portions.
Right.
When my wife and I go to visit family in Japan, their portions are just much more
Right.
reasonable, what they should be reasonable, where it comes,
Sure.
fistful, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas here we can eat a plate of pasta, but you're not gonna run that off. You and I probably are very active, and we burn 800 to 1200 calories pretty easily through any session that we're doing. But that's not the typical professional that's actually
Sure.
working 12, 14 hours a day, and then have very little time for themselves. And this is where I was going to question with you what your opinion is on carbs when it comes to carbs, specifically refined carbs. We're talking bread, we're talking rice.
Well, a couple things you said there. The number one, we say if your goal is to lose weight, and we're all managing our weight, right? And so it's always, I like to, playing ball. If I could weigh 230, I'm 6'5". That's 234 right now. I don't weigh myself every day, but I always kind of know how I feel. But I relate that to fitness things that I do or playing basketball. So my goal, and this is and I'll get back to your question, your points, but I don't think if I get up to 240 because of Christmas cookies, I don't always think I have to lose 7 pounds. I think I have to begin living as if I weigh 233 again. Right. And I think that identifies that. So if you have, and that's setting a goal weight. If you want to lose 50 pounds and you weigh 210 pounds, what does life look like at 160 pounds? That's your journey, right? That's the path. Like, what does life look like at 160 or 170 or whatever kind of a goal weight or just a healthy state might be? Go on a hike with your kids, and can you walk a 3-mile hilly hike with your kids and feel good after that? And that may be your goal state. That's kind of what you're going for. And so I kind of base my eating and some of my habits after that. When you said that about burning calories, we say you lose weight in the kitchen, you get fit in the gym, right? You get fit out exercising and doing push-ups. It's great for fitness things. We can talk about fitness in a minute, but you lose weight in the kitchen, you lose weight nutritionally. It's a whole heck of a lot easier not to eat 1,500 calories than it is to go out and burn 1,500 calories. And I see that with a lot of people as far as professionals. If you're a desk jockey and you're sitting around, and that's one of the programs I'm working on, we can talk about it again, but just called Desk Jockey RX. If you are sitting around all day long, if you're sitting at a job at your computer for 9 or 10 hours, and then you want to go for a run or go coach basketball practice with your 5th graders, what do you do for the 20 minutes before that to feel better and do that? But you don't necessarily want to rely on that activity, because what happens is we end up sitting at a chair. We're so sedentary all during the day. And then we get up and do that exercise at the end of the day. Our body, number one, we're still glued to that desk. We're still in our desk chair posture. And you want to be careful with just hopping up from a desk after 8 hours and going for a run or doing squats or whatever you might do actively. But to rely on that for burning calories, that's a tough workout. And if you're 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, and you say, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do a boot camp 3 times a week, or I'm going to set up my mirror or my Peloton and someone's going to tell me to do burpees from 1,000 miles away. There's a better way to do it. I'll just be honest with you. People are hurting themselves trying to do burpees when they haven't worked out in 10 years. But we rely too much on burning calories. We rely too much on the activity. So to really focus on the nutrition part of that is key first and foremost. So having said that, I almost fluctuate my weight and my calories on my carbs. Like, for the most part, I keep my protein and my fruit, my vegetables, things like that, all the same. And then I know if I either have whether I call it a cheat day, whether I call it a Fat Tuesday day, I don't care day. I just want to go out and party. When I say party, I'm not partying. I'm like at my in-laws having 2 extra beers with my father-in-law and eating. So, that's me partying these days. But it comes in the form of carbs. If I want to up my calories a little bit, I'm going to have a cup of waffle with my kids in the morning, along with my eggs. I might throw a piece of toast in. and which is just something to do, whether you're going to eat a little bit extra with, whatever you're doing. But so I'm aware, and my wife's wonderful. Tara is just amazing as far as cooking, sweet potatoes and rice with a lot of meals, but she does like to bake, right? I mean, it's especially during COVID when it gets cold in Missouri, it's like, oh, we're making, I make cookies today with the kids. I'm great. Like there's 2 dozen cookies right here in this, Tupperware container. And I'm thinking I got to get lean and mean because I want to start playing ball again soon. And so that you just kind of check in with, which is more important, feeling good on the basketball court or eating 3 of those cookies. And so, yeah, your carbs, they're just so easy. They're so convenient, right? I mean, you walk in and I mean, do you want to have a piece of beef jerky at 6 a.m, or do you want to have 2 donuts, right? The donuts taste good, but it's so much of, like anything else, it's just a pleasure. It's something we're going after. It's just a bodily pleasure, right? And I think as trying to be Catholic, trying to be Christian, trying to do this stuff, you gotta, check yourself a little bit and say, what am I looking for right now? Am I looking long-term? Is there a little more purpose behind why I want to stay healthy and fit? Or do I just want this pleasure right here in the moment? Right. And so whether it's, a donut and then also just kind of scheduling your day. We talk about being consistent, eating the same breakfast every morning, eating the same water, drinking water every morning. Save your inconsistency, save your carbs, save those extra things for an event, save it for a birthday party, save it for a happy hour, save it for a rare time you get to see a buddy and go out and have a beer. But when you have control over it, that's when you want to try to schedule and figure out, what does that consistent diet look like? What do those same foods look like that you eat every day? But it really does come down to carbs, and not to get on a big low carb kick, but your breads, your potatoes, milk for some people. Always listen to your body as far as how dairy feels. Some people drink dairy fine, some people don't. But that's what adds up pretty fast as far as, even sandwiches, things like that. It takes a little more effort though, a little more preparation, a little more packing, as far as eating more protein. But yeah, your carbs, just because it's not just because carbs are terrible. It does affect your blood sugar, but it's just, they're convenient. They're always accessible. It's easy to keep bags of chips around, but that's a conversation though. That's, I won't cut you off. That's a conversation to have. And your nutrition is one thing. We can talk about these habits and these ideas, but if you buy cold cereal for your kids and you have granola bars, which we're all going to, we have families, that's just communication. You have to really talk to your wife, and talk to even your kids, and kind of figure out, what is your household? What do you want that to look like? What does your refrigerator look like? What does it, the pantries look like? That you can kind of have that balance, that the kids can, have Cocoa Puffs or Cheerios or whatever your thing is every once in a while, but you're still having your eggs and your blueberries in the morning, right? And kind of balancing those things out. So communicating with our wives is vital. As far as if you're setting up a new goal for 2021 and I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be healthy, that's a conversation. Have your financial conversation, have your fitness conversation, have your faith conversation. What is going on in our household? I just sent an email to Tara yesterday. So what are we doing as individuals? What does your life look like? What does my life look like? What do we look like as a couple? Who are we as a couple? What do our date nights look like? How are we supporting each other in these ways? And then what do we look like as a family unit? What does our household culture look like? And, we send emails back and forth, and then we talk in person a little bit about this, and anything that we do along that conversation is a good thing, just to let us know we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's crucial. Just the fact that you are doing that, because, if I'm the kids, we're going to do whatever mom or dad lets us get away with, and
Sure.
so when you're able to have that kind of conversation with your wife, whether it's through an email chain or it's text, and then it's, one-on-one time, that allows you guys to properly communicate. Because in a household of, 5 of you, they're your paths are crossing all the time. And so that, when it comes to the nutrition side, knowing how to plan ahead for dinner or that following breakfast when one person's going to be gone, and one person's, going to have the 3 kids waking up at the same time, and having them understand, it's a team concept, right?
Yep.
That's your 5. That's your 5. So you recognize that you have to be that voice. And when it comes to, we're going to have our times where we're going to have our pizza night, but we're not going to be driving through fast food just because it's easier to get to, because then it becomes natural. And I think that, when you talk about, Catholic Fit, after we, talk about our physical health, I think it's also important for the viewers to understand that when we're talking about nutrition, it's important to recognize that our kids are developing at this age, and you know, organs and systems learn to function properly by having proper nutrition. And I, without going into a tangent, I'm trying to get my arms around the fact that so many different health ailments have been, you know, skyrocketed through the years, since supposedly, our FDA and our medicine is supposed to be the best out there. But where all these different conditions and diseases came from, it boggles me. So that's why, like you, I try to make sure that, we understand our priorities in terms of health and nutrition. But I don't necessarily, I'm not like, eat your broccoli, you're not going outside,
Right.
like, can you finish most of it so I don't end up finishing all the leftovers? But
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is understanding that, having some cereal once in a while is fine, but it does take effort into understanding, and not just throwing a bunch of money at something and letting them go run into the pantry and find something, so the I think the other aspect of it is, with the physical health part of it, if we think about this portion, Dave, I think years ago, my story is going back to Chicago, seeing my family and seeing how many of them, even in their early and mid 20s, were in such bad shape in terms of health ailments. I'm not talking about being overweight. I'm talking about diabetes. I'm talking about high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. It wasn't like, oh, my aunts and uncles are all unhealthy. They are, but it was people that I consider my peers. And so I had to decide to myself, what is it that's going to continue to motivate me? And I remember reading a specific scripture verse, 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, and it's always stuck to me. And it's anytime that I've found myself outside of not being my very best, starting to let go of myself, this is what I've always gone to. And it reads, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, and you are bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. So this comes to mind because, uh, like you were saying, there's going to be times where you're gonna be in fellowship and you're gonna have a beer and wings with your friends, and so be it. But the other aspect of it is, and I've looked at it, is how are we making sure that 6 out of the 7 days we're good, and then you might have that moment where you're just being there with your family, or with your friends. So when it comes to the physical health side of it, I I have to we have to prioritize what's going on in the household, but at the same time we have to figure out how do we incorporate living a healthy lifestyle. And not everyone is able to go to the gym, because of not only because of the current situation, but also because they don't even know where to start.
Sure.
And I would kind of defer to you on those that are having a tough time finding something that they can rely on to do, that's manageable, that allows them to be active and get some sort of exercise and get a sweat, even given the kind of restrictions we have today.
The the verse, or just the idea we hear a lot that I always go back to, is faith without works is dead, and that fitness without movement is the same, right? That we have to be moving, and we're called to serve. And I always kind of look at that we're kind of, so we stay fit for others, we stay fit to serve others. As far as what that looks like, I had a 90-year-old client once who was amazing. She came in and I asked her, like, so what does fitness mean to you? Right? We all have our own definition of fitness, and so, like, for Rich and I, we play basketball, and we'll figure out some sort of way to play basketball. And if we can't for a little bit, well, maybe we'll jump rope. We'll figure out ways to do that, especially times like this, because it relates directly to fitness. And so for this woman, Kathleen, she told me, my husband is getting worse. He had a mini stroke. He can't get up from his recliner after he sits down. He's in his recliner too much, but I want to be able to stand a strong posture and pull him up from the recliner. Can you help me do that? And that became her idea of fitness. So fitness is just your ability to adapt. Okay. Can you adapt to the environment? Can you adapt to a big hill? Can you run steps? Can you get up from the floor? Can you step out on a basketball court in Orange County and play ball with the guys out there? That's fitness. But we all have our unique definition of what that means. And so again, it's sort of like health. It sort of begins with what is fitness going to be to you, and then kind of work through that to figure out what a routine might be. And so whether it's just simply going for walks, movement equals regeneration, right? Sedentary lifestyle is degeneration, right? So to continue this, we talk about with what you eat, to continue to regenerate your cells, you move down to the cellular level, the DNA level, with everything that you do. So just get moving first and foremost, and start today. Whether you can go for a walk, and you know, I'm thinking practice. You get that, but the idea of we practice our faith, right? We're not just perfect Catholics. We practice this stuff, right? We're not going into a game and performing and winning games. We practice our faith. We practice our fitness. And I think to start framing it as, what am I going to practice today? And it could be as simple as how do you feel when you get up from the floor? How do you feel when you reach your arms up straight up overhead? And to practice some of those basic movements. To go out and go for a walk is, and first and foremost, is just the best thing to do. Just that you went out and you moved that day, a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk. And then if your goal is to do as many push-ups as your age, I hear that a lot from guys. It feels a heck of a lot better to try those push-ups, 1 or 2 push-ups after a 5-minute walk, after a 10-minute walk. If you're having a hard time finding time for prayer, if you're trying to figure out, you know, kind of a faith and fitness practice, to find a great Catholic Dadcast with Rich. Listen to a Bishop Barron homily. Listen to Mike Schmitz. He has a new Bible series for the year. Father Mike Schmitz with Ascension Presents. Put on something for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and go for a walk, and you're taking care of prayer. You can listen to a homily, go for a 10-minute walk, and dedicate that to someone who may not be able to exercise. That, someone who's in the hospital with COVID, someone who's just old and not feeling great, a loved one in Chicago who has diabetes and hasn't moved in 20 years, dedicate that walk to them. That's a way to get a prayer in. That's a way to learn something about your faith and to take care of your body as well. But the simplest things can work. I mean, I've got guys that do push-ups on their countertop, and it starts with 5 and then 10. After a while, they're doing 20. And I still do that. I could bench 350, 10, 15 years ago. I have no desire to do it anymore. And I really can't. My shoulders don't feel like great. I'll still do countertop push-ups and do 20 or 30 of them just to wake my shoulders up. And I start with that. And then I decide, am I going to do it anymore? That's more of a fitness conversation, exercise conversation. But any little thing that you do to get going for your body, go for a walk. And before you walk into the house, stretch each heel cord on the step before you come in. And then just check in and see how you feel. And then you can set goals for walking an extra mile or an extra 2 minutes or whatever that is. Or, maybe you're having a hard time with one-on-one time with one of the kids. If you have 3 kids each day, I take Abby out one day, take Alex out the next day, take Olivia out the next day, for your walks, just to get a little bit in, so, just to start with something simple that you're just being mindful of yourself. You're being mindful of your temple. You're just thinking about taking care of yourself in some ways, and let the momentum kind of build from there as far as what you're able to do.
And there's and what you shared there, Dave, is it really is very simple. And just by what you've said, it reminds me of, how we like to multitask things, or we like to feel like, for example, I've gone on runs and I've had, a podcast going, or I've had, some Christian music going, and that's right. Dedicating that to someone that might not be able to move as much is a big deal. I mean, listening, checking in on my parents, for example, in Chicago, and hearing that they go to the mall and they walk there to at least change the scenery.
Yeah.
And when they can't, like now, because it's 26 degrees and it's been, snowing / raining for 8 hours, it can drive them crazy, because obviously living with each other, married for 50 years, you're just going to get on each other's nerves. So she just tells me she walks kind of back and forth, and she'll do the steps when she feels like it. But I encourage her to, and I think that we forget as guys that you can do that. You can do some squats. You don't have to do anything crazy. I think even jumping jacks and getting your heart rate going, and then stopping and letting yourself catch your breath and then doing it again is it could be just as beneficial as if you were doing jump ropes. But the whole point is incorporate 2, 3, 4 things that you can do on a regular basis, into a routine, whether it's in the morning or it's in the evening before dinner. You're going to get that half hour, 45 minutes in. But those are the things I think that sometimes, we 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 overcomplicate things when you can just really do something very simple. The whole point of what you shared was move. And then when you want to change it up, get the family involved, because that is quality time. That's time for you to talk to your daughter or talk to your son. And before you know it, they're going to be like, hey, let's go for a walk. And that's what I found is, being in the situation we're in with the way COVID is, when I want to get away from my desk, I'll text it out. Hey, we're going to walk. We're all going to walk in 5 minutes. And they know, hey, shut down whatever you're doing and let's go. And we've had, we've found a way to bond through that whole process, regardless of how much foolishness we had to deal with this year. But we changed it into a bonding experience.
Yeah, to schedule it too. I think even if it's a 5-minute, 10-minute for yourself, because if you do need to get away, if it feels good, you want to do something for yourself or set a goal, which is okay too. I think to keep it simple and then also schedule it, kind of know what that looks like, and then make it easy. Like I know that if I want to go for a walk in the morning or do something firsthand, or if I'm just leaving for work early, I lay out all my clothes. They're like in the bathroom, laid out, my entire outfit. I know because I don't want to wake up my wife. I go in the shower, I'm ready to go, and I walk out the door. But it's also scheduled. You can look at my calendar, and I have my classes scheduled, my clients scheduled, sometimes food, and I have train. And sometimes it'll say train, cardio or conditioning. Sometimes it'll say train dash presses or leg day or something. And that I schedule that the day before each time as well. And so if you're thinking about starting today or starting tomorrow, it's not just I'm going to get up and do something. It's your shoes laid out. You know what outfit. Are you packing an extra thing for work? Maybe you're going for, a lot of us are working from home right now. But if you're out in construction, if you're a plumber, if you're out just being active all day long, that's when we kind of appreciate what your body's doing. Your body gets good at what you ask it to do most of the time. So if you sit all day long and you're good at sitting, at the end of the day, exercise should start with kind of ungluing your body from your desk chair. If you're generally active, and if you're using hand tools all day long and you're gripping all day long and you're sort of like in this position gripping, well, then the thing to do is to unglue that, pull your, stretch the other way. And that can be in and of itself an exercise. Maybe you're active and you're on the floor doing a lot of manual labor, but you haven't just gotten your heart rate up, for 10 minutes straight. And that's as simple as it is. I ask my kids a lot today. They'll tell me about the day. And even if it's a good day, they played their piano and they played a little bit of video game, right? They played some cards with mom. But I say, did you get your breathing rate up? Like, did you breathe hard today? Did you get your heart rate up today? And that's in and of itself, can be enough to start with. And then you think, okay, now I've built health. That's kind of that baseline of health. What does your posture look like? Are you ungluing yourself from your desk chair and able to move pretty well? And are you getting your heart rate up? That's kind of where to start. And then you can start getting into what we call fitness and exercises, whether squats and push-ups and things like that. And so, which I think, we talked about this. What I'm going to do, my website's CatholicFit.com. It's generally my school program. And I just got 2 more inquiries. Right before I hopped online, I got an inquiry from Archdiocese up in Philadelphia that does a virtual program and a homeschooling family in North Carolina. I'm sort of turning the program more into an online program. It's been here in St. Louis where I visit schools, and it's kind of a complement or supplement to their PE programs. But I think what I'm going to do is whether we kind of recap this a little bit, or I'm just going to put kind of maybe just a paragraph plus a 3-minute video on a couple stages or kind of phases to where you want to get healthy. This is where you start. And I think if you go to CatholicFit.com, I don't know when you plan it. I don't know when this will be posted, but I'll just have Catholic Dad at the top. Catholic Dads. Click on that, and I'm going to have a page hopefully within the next week or so. And I'm just going to have a couple quick little simple videos, recap some of these ideas Rich and I talked about today, just to kind of get you moving. I know we talked about a lot of things, and we kind of went on some tangents, but a couple simple ideas for reframing the way you're viewing health, the way you're viewing your body, not only from a faith standpoint, that this is our temple, which is just vital. I mean, we need that bigger meaning and that bigger purpose behind what we're doing. But then also, how are you building health? How are you initially moving and eating and sleeping? How are you getting fit? And then how are you kind of sustaining some of these ideas? Rich's first question for me in his original email a week ago was, why are you passionate about fitness? And I kind of chuckled at that because I'm thinking, I don't know if I am really passionate about it. I don't know if I'm passionate about it. That's kind of like motivation, right? It's kind of a fleeting thing. It's sort of like we're motivated for a time, we're passionate, we're ready to go. But at some point, it's more the utility of it. It's the purpose of it, you know? And I think to live intentionally, to know that we're here for a reason, we're here for a purpose. You know, God created us for a purpose. And in order to live, I know that if I drink too many beers on a Saturday night, I don't feel good enough to do my thing the next day. I can't be the dad I want to be, the husband I want to be, the personal trainer I want to be, if I'm, eating too much crap and putting on 10 pounds of water over 3 days, which I tend to do during holidays and stuff. And then I can't necessarily be the person I want to be that next day. And so I think when we start attaching some of these things to a bigger meaning, a bigger purpose, what we're doing, our responsibilities as dads, as protectors, as providers, because that's the other thing. We neglect our health, I think, not because we just simply neglect it. It's because we're charged with so many other things. We're worried about our bills. I'm sitting, you guys can see sort of my weight room behind me. I got some nice kettlebells right here, Fitball right here. I got a setup here, right? That I was like, well, yeah, you're sitting in a weight room. Of course you work out every day, but I don't, because here is my office and my desk. And there's so many days that I get up and I'm thinking, man, it's 6 o'clock. I got to get home. And I didn't exercise because while I have a weight room 5 feet away from me, I sit at my desk and I'm looking at my finances, I'm looking at my bills, and I'm looking at my next project and my next class, and I'm preparing all those sorts of things. So I get it. It's tough when you get off work at 5 o'clock to make it work or fit it in. That's why to start simple, schedule it, and then, be consistent with some of these things you can control. I know I can't squat like I used to because I don't have the time, or I'm not making the time because I have so many other things I want to make time for, but I know I can drink more water. I know I can get good sleep at night. I know I can shut down at 9 o'clock. I know I can eat my eggs in the morning and then get some general activity. We have the reserve gyms in St. Louis right now. So our community center. So I reserve the gym from 3 to 3:30. And all my kids, my wife will go up there and we just pull out some basketballs. We run around. I don't care what they do. Sometimes they play basketball. Sometimes they jump rope. Sometimes they just run and race and play tag. It doesn't matter. We just have this space to be able to run around together. And if I feel good doing that, then I know I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty fit. If I don't, that's my goal. Why was my knee barking at me when I was just shooting a couple free throws with Alex, my 9-year-old? That's the next thing I'm going to kind of focus on, right? So the more I'm moving, you start going for a walk every day, you think, gosh, my back's barking at me when I go for a walk. Well, there you go. Now you're going to go for a walk and you just Google some back stretches. Or you can always email me or go to DaveReddy.com and say, or Catholic Fit, I do have some things there where just some lower back durability exercises you can do. So now you're going for a 10-minute walk and you're doing 5 minutes of lower back durability exercises. And as that momentum grows, you start feeling better. Then you'll just start wanting to do. Then plan a hike with the kids, and I think there's just so much in momentum as far as practicing these little things.
I think more people want to be Catholic Fit. I think we actually have the will to do that, and understand our responsibility. That we can't give what we don't have. And so I just encourage everyone to understand that we schedule everything. So I encourage you guys to schedule active time. Like you said, Dave, having 30 minutes for the whole family to just run around, go do things,
play,
sweat a little bit, and you do it as a family. It's great. But because we're going to see so many different ends of the spectrum, some that haven't been active, or are sporadic or are inconsistent. I think the fact is, wherever you are today, guys, the whole point is recognize where you are, take inventory, look at yourself, and take baby steps. But I think the biggest thing I want to tell you guys is take a step. And I would say that, once Dave has everything up, and he keeps adding content for us, utilize it. It really only takes 3 or 4 minutes to incorporate what he has and then fit it into, right after your walk. But the whole point is stay active. And it's not just about annihilating your body. For some of us, we'll be doing things that are a little bit more advanced. But I think what I've heard in the past was stimulation and not annihilation. And that just means get your body moving, and just make sure that you're actively doing that each day. And then don't sabotage yourself just because you worked out for 45 minutes. Doesn't mean that you can go eat 4 slices of pizza and your body's not gonna pay for it. Treat your body well, and be active. And that's really what Dave and I are really trying to share with you guys. So when you see it, you're going to see that at catholicfit.com, or davereddy.com. I'll have those in the show notes. But these are all really important for us to recognize, guys, that we have the resources. It's really just a matter of prioritizing that. And it's, as leaders in our household and leaders in our community, if we're not at our best, then we're not giving our best to our family or anyone else. So I encourage you guys to utilize what Dave and I had shared with you. Dave, I appreciate all the advice. Any other last comments before we close up?
No, it's good. That's like, it's, I think a lot of moms I work with are kind of, they always say they take care of everyone else before themselves.
Yeah.
And dads can do the same thing. It's the golden rule, right? Love your neighbor as you love ourselves, as you love yourself. But I think we put that in biblical terms. Of course, we keep our priorities correct. We love God first. But I think in doing so, we can honor his gifts. We can honor what we have in our bodies. But then to truly love yourself first, the more you love yourself, that's just your ability to love others. Take care of yourself so you can continue to take care of others in your life. And I think that's part of staying fit to serve. Just take care of yourself so you can continue to do the things that you love to do and take care of the loved ones in your life. So.
Well, here's what we'll do. Dave, I would love for you to close this in prayer. And I just want to remind the audience, just keep in mind, the only way we're able to get found is for you guys to like and subscribe on YouTube, but most importantly, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you might be listening to this. Because as you're going to see throughout the year, we're going to have much more content for you guys. And we just want to let all the Catholic dads and all the Catholic men and all the families out there, we're here together doing these things for you guys, because we don't want you guys doing life on your own. I think we have to recognize the Catholic Church is a gift, and we're meant to commune with each other and help each other through the crazy lives that we're encountering here. So, Dave, if you can close this up in prayer, I would greatly appreciate it.
Sure. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity and bringing Rich and I together to talk about all things Catholic and fit. Thank you for all of our listeners, our viewers, and men and women and families and everyone out here who are just thinking about better ways to serve you, to honor you, to thank you for all that you have given us, especially kind of through the lens of physical health, to help us build community, build fraternity and fellowship, and bring more people together in this journey towards fitness and just take care of ourselves. We always say an extra prayer with Catholic Fit for all those who cannot exercise, either because they haven't moved in decades, if they're sick, injured, if they're struggling in any way. We dedicate our exercise, we dedicate this time and our next exercise back to them. And we ask all these things through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Folks, this podcast episode has ended. Go now in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.